Thank you very much, and welcome to this talk about AutoUpgrade deep dive. We have a lot of cool and interesting things to show you here today, so let's not waste too much time on the introduction things. With me here today is Mike Dietrich, the go-to guy on upgrades, and you will learn a lot from him today. I don't think he needs any further introduction.
Let me see if we can advance here. Oops. So.
Does it work?
Wait. I don't want to push too often. Yeah, now it works. Okay. Because we shared a presentation on Daniel's screen, and there's 1,050 kilometers between us and a slow German data line. So Daniel is based near Copenhagen, a little bit outside of Copenhagen, Denmark, and is our senior principal product manager for officially database cloud migrations. But when you look at Daniel's blog, dohdatabase.com, you will see quickly that Daniel does a lot more than just cloud migrations. And of course, he is also the guy who really digs deep into AutoUpgrade. For today, slides, yes. The slides are on our blogs. So when you look for the presentation on my blog, there's a different picture. They are on Daniel's blog as well. So you can download them instantly while you watch that or afterwards. And of course, on both of our blogs, you find way more information about upgrades, migrations, patching. So my blog on the left side, Daniel's on the right side. And in the middle, if you wonder why there's a third blog, we have a teammate, Rodrigo Jorge, who just started a few months ago. And on his blog, you'll find more things regarding patching, security, and all sorts of weird things you can do with an Oracle database. So a lot of stuff you can access there. And of course, on our blogs, you find also, if you think after these 45 minutes on a Saturday morning, that's not enough. And what should you do with the rest of your Saturday once this event is over? There are over 17 hours recorded seminars on our blogs. And it's all deep technical seminars. So there's no marketing done. It starts from upgrade to migrations to multi-tenant to performance management, ensure performance stability, but also cloud migrations, use a cloud instance for performance monitoring, cool features for DBAs, and a lot more. So feel free to tune in and watch some of this content. Let us start quickly with chapter 1 to warm you up and especially to warm me up as well. Release and patching strategy. Because we think this is, when we talk about upgrades and migrations, the first thing is, why are you going to upgrade? Why are you going to migrate? And typically, it's not because you love upgrades. I mean, we love upgrades, but you are basically driven by support periods. That's the main reason why you move forward. Otherwise, some of you would still work with Oracle 7.3.4, I guess. Long-term support release. 19C is a long-term support release, has at least 5 years of premier support. That is the black bar in the slide. And at least 3 years of extended support, which is marked red because it's extra cost normally. Unless you have a ULA agreement, license agreement with Oracle, a pooler, or if you operate an engineered system, then this can be included at no extra cost. While an innovation release, 21C is an innovation release, has a very short support time frame and no extended support guaranteed. So this means very simple, production environments go from long-term to long-term. This is why you all upgrade now to 19C if you haven't done already. And this is why you may give 21C to a developer for the new release of the application using blockchain tables, but then you do a verification or certification later on once the next long-term support release is out there. So this is the graph which really matters and which defines the barriers and the borders. 11.2.04, some of you may still be under market-driven support. We know that a few customers are there, and this means you pay extra to get this extra way of support and still some patches, security patches. 12.102, keep in mind, it runs out in 7 or 8 months. So then even the extended support is over, and then life of 12.102 is over as well. 12.201 and forward, I will have a separate slide. But before we go to that slide, if you wonder later on, I won't read that, no worries. If you wonder later on about all the support periods, what do the colors, the graphs mean, we included just that slide with a bit more explanation. But this brings me directly to 12.2.1, 18, 19, 21 and forward. At the moment, 12.201 is under limited error correction support. This is the light red bar on the slide on top. This means it's no extra cost, but we fix only security and severity 1 issues. And we release updates. So a few days ago, you may have seen already that 12.201 had gotten the October 2021 release update. 18C, life is over. So 18C, there's no public available fixes anymore. 19C is the release under long-term support, which is running until end of April 2024 for Premier support and potentially 3 more years for extended support. And as you have seen in the past for 11.204 or for 12.102, it may even at some point in the future may be extended. We don't know yet. I can't tell you if you ask me, but this is the minimum we guarantee right now. This is the release you all upgrade to because your C21C is out there now on-prem already as well. And it won't be released on AIX, ZLinux, and Spark. So 21C won't be available on these platforms and not on Intel Solaris because 19C was the last Intel Solaris release. So this is for your developers, but every else production go please to 19C. And then later on, once the next long-term support release is coming out, which will be most likely 23C, and it's in dotted lines because this is pure fictional. Also the dates I put on a slide are pure fiction for 23C, but this is supposed to be the next long-term support release. So you jump from 19 to the next long-term support release with your production databases. Keep that in mind. If you want to look that up later on, you find these 2 must notes, and the first one is really important. The official title is not the single source of truth. This is how we name it, because this is the note giving you all these dates and all the support and availability information you need regarding these releases. The second reason why you upgrade, often unfortunately not the cool features. I mean, 3 pluggable databases, 19C are really good and moved some people forward, but the second most important reason is security. And this is also the reason why you must patch. So this drives you forward as well. And you must have heard about cases such as this one. And I bring this up because Larry Ellison ranted loudly at stage at Open World about this most famous Equifax breach, where the management decided to not apply patches, even though Apache released an alert for the Struts platform or framework, and then Equifax got brutally hacked. So there are many hacks in the world, but here in this case, the data got by the hackers or by the attackers contained not only the addresses and credit card numbers, but also the social security number of 143 million US customers. And I bet Larry's data was included here as well, because sometimes he may pay something with a credit card as well as we do. And the bad side here is, first of all, the management, the board had to leave the company, but Equifax had to pay a lot on settlements. This is one settlement they agreed in 2019, 650 million US dollars, just a settlement. Yeah? So this is not the damage, and we don't even speak about the reputation damage here. So you must patch and you must go forward.
But wait, Mike. My database is not connected to the internet. I am perfectly safe.
Oh, Daniel, really? Are you sure? If I turn off the lights here in my room and I take on my hood, I will bring some malware to you via email. And I know you will click on that because I include this nice cat picture and you are so tempted. This is like when my dad called me when I was on the other side of the world saying, somebody sent me an invoice for a video platform I never used. And I asked him back, how do you know? Yeah, because I opened the PDF. This is how it gets into your network. And then it spreads in your network. So you're not protected. Yeah, it doesn't matter if your database server is facing the internet or not. And for those of you who find this in your database, when you check DBA registry or CDB registry these days, and you find Java VM marked in red here, then you must patch. Because here, until January 2021, we put in the high score for security breaches released publicly in our security alerts for OJVM. And I don't want to blame OJVM. It's a fantastic feature. And if you have put your Java code in the database, it's much faster than when you use it from outside via the typical client server setup. But due to the security issues, you must patch it. It's an average of 7.9, and the high score would be 10. So this is very close to the high score in average. And so you must patch them. Yeah.
Okay.
And from patching, we go to upgrades, right?
Yeah. Okay. You convinced me. Even though my database, I think it's safe, you convinced me. I will upgrade. So let's go ahead and upgrade. And the very first thing that I will do is to download and install Oracle Database 19c for the reasons that Mike just explained. It is our current long-term support release. This is where your production databases should go. After I have installed the Oracle Home, I will download the latest release update and apply it to the Oracle Home before I do the database upgrade. When we find issues in the upgrade engine itself, we will make a fix for that, and those fixes can get into you or into your Oracle Home via a release update. Also, we really have, it's very unfortunate to go live on a version that is many quarters old, because you will then hit issues that we have already solved. Download and install the latest release update before the upgrade. Then you upgrade with AutoUpgrade. It is the only recommended way to upgrade your database. And after that, you need to take care about performance stability after the upgrade. We will not cover this today. It is far too much to cover in 45 minutes. But if you go to the webinar page that Mike mentioned earlier and look for webinar number 3, performance stability after upgrade and migrations, we talk for 2 full hours on how you can ensure plan stability and so forth after the upgrade. But for now, we will proceed with the upgrade. And the very first thing that I need to verify is that my database, can it be used to do a direct upgrade to database 19c? If my database is on 11.204 or anything newer than that, then I can upgrade directly to Oracle Database 19c. And I'm forgetting here 12.101 because I seriously hope that no one is still using that release. It has been out of support for quite a long time. 11.204 and then onwards, you can upgrade directly to database 19c. If you have a golden oldie in your data center, if you have that Oracle Database 7.1.3, what have you not, that Mike mentioned earlier, you cannot upgrade directly to 19c, and you need to do an intermediate upgrade. The general rule of thumb is that when you do intermediate upgrades, you always upgrade as far as possible in each step until you then eventually reach database 19c. A quick tip: you can save downtime on the upgrade by gathering statistics in advance. What does that mean? If your database is very critical, if you're very sensitive to downtime, you can do some very simple things that can eliminate or minimize the amount of downtime that you need. Statistics are always vital in your database. When it comes to upgrade, we don't care as much about optimizing statistics on your tables, but we care about statistics on the database data dictionary. This is why you should have up-to-date dictionary statistics and fixed object statistics. If you don't have up-to-date statistics, AutoUpgrade will ensure that we have good statistics before we start the database upgrade. But it will do so after the downtime window has started, so it'll prolong your downtime window. If you ensure that you have good statistics by gathering, I would recommend schema statistics on sys and system. If you do that 1 to 2 days before the database upgrade, you are all good. Then we won't do it AutoUpgrade won't do it before the database upgrade. And actually, you can do it up to 7 days in advance. This is a little benchmark that we did. We had a container database with around 50 PDBs, and we measured how long time did we actually spend on gathering statistics before the database upgrade actually started. And in our benchmark, we could save 12 minutes of downtime simply by gathering fixed object and dictionary statistics before we started the maintenance window. So there is actually a significant amount of time that you can save by doing it in advance. And while we speak about that very critical database, the one that your career is depending on, before you start the upgrade, it's recommended that you run a health check. You don't have to do it for all your databases, but we recommend that you do it for those very critical databases. It's a lightweight, non-intrusive check that you can run in your database, and it'll try to identify some known data dictionary corruptions that you should fix before you start an upgrade. So download the script from Moz, run it before in good time before the upgrade, so you have time to resolve any issues that you might encounter. And when you've done that, it is time to start the upgrade with AutoUpgrade. That is the only recommended way to upgrade the databases. So Mike, can you take me through the essentials?
I will try. I had hoped that you tried AutoUpgrade already, but okay. I will guide you through the starting points. Pardon me?
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Always. You're very, 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 very welcome. First of all, general rule with AutoUpgrade, you always download the lowest, not the lowest, the latest version. Sorry, it's too early morning for me. The latest version from my Oracle support. Why? Because this version here is almost guaranteed newer than the one you have on disk. We have an extremely agile release cycle and a die-hard developer team which wants to improve the tool constantly. In some cases, we delivered a new version overnight to fix something a customer found. So we are really working directly with customers in some cases, and you need the newest version from this Moz node. What you do then is you do a java-char autoupgrade.char-version. And here you see a build date. So compare this build date to the version you find on Moz. So here in this case, it's equal. So you have the newest version. But I think the coming days, or if there maybe is already a newer version out there, it should be in the coming days. If it's not out there, then exchange it on your disk and for your machines. I would say 50% of the issues reported to us are typically fixed by the newer version of AutoUpgrade, in my experience. So it saves you time as well. AutoUpgrade on the side, because you may wonder about the support target versions, handles all the older releases as well, and the newer ones too. So you need one tool for all. You don't need an extra version for 12.2, 18, 19. It's one tool fits all, one fits everything. Just take the newest one and it takes care. Then you need a config file. This is the only thing you need to do. You need that config file, and the shortest possible config file version has 3 lines. Your source home, your target home, and the SID of the database you'd like to upgrade. And if you wonder about this UPG1 at the beginning of the line, this is a prefix. We use UPG1. You can use whatever you'd like to set here. It's completely up to you, but it helps us differentiating between different databases. If you are even not wanting to write that short config file, you can generate also a sample config file and edit it. I prefer writing it the 3 lines by myself because the sample file has so many comments I often remove. But either way is fine. You need a config file. It's the only task you have to do right now. Then first step is you analyze now your database. So you call AutoUpgrade against your source database, and with the config file, with mode analyze. And this is non-intrusive. So it will just read information from your source database, and you can run the analyze 16 times if you want to, because it doesn't do anything except for checking your database and generating reports. So it generates a log file. So we look at the log report. And the important thing is here marked in red. If it says pre-checked passed and no manual intervention necessary, that means, hey, you're good to go. Now you can schedule your upgrade unattended at night. But at the side, and I prefer that report more, that's the HTML report. So we generate a log and an HTML report, and you can click here on pre-checks. So let us quickly keep an eye on the pre-checks report. And what we see here is a report for each container of my database. So we start with an overview section where we see it's a 12.2.1 database, enterprise edition, time zone 26. All the components are valid or off. That is what we want. Then on the left side, we see now a section with information and warnings and maybe errors, but here there's no error for all the separate containers for the root, the seed, and all the PDBs. If it's a non-CDB, you have, of course, only one list of warnings and information here. Let's click on the first one. And you see here for the CDB $root in the apricot colored line, the first one says dictionary stats. You remember Daniel explained that before a minute ago, but there is a fix-up available, yes. So now you could say, I don't care about dictionary stats. AutoUpgrade takes care because it tells you there's a fix-up available, or you follow Daniel's advice because you're interested in decreasing the downtime and you generate the dictionary stats 7 days or closer to the upgrade, and then AutoUpgrade will skip it. On the second warning here, or information, we see that there's no fix-up available for hidden parameters. But this is just to tell you we found hidden parameters, which means either underscores or events, but we don't master you. You are the boss. You can keep your underscores, but AutoUpgrade tells you a list of which of those we found, and then you may revisit them and maybe remove old underscores you won't need in a newer release anymore. So this is what you get here, and you get a similar report also in JSON format if you would like to process it with a programming interface. Now we have done the analyze, our database is good to go. We can kick off the upgrade, and we can kick it off with -mode deploy. -mode deploy then repeats the analyze, does a fix up, so it fixes all the things, then does the upgrade and the post upgrade. So we can have a cup of coffee, or I prefer tea here. And we can lean back, or we can monitor it. The easiest thing is when you kick off the upgrade, you get this job console and you just type lsj, list job. And then you see, oh, it's job 101, my CDB, and you get information. If you want more information, the job had the number 101. You can say status minus job 101. And then you find a summary about the stages where AutoUpgrade is right now. So it is 3 minutes in the upgrade process. You see also the log files, the log locations. You can always say also logs on the command prompt here, and it tells you where your log files are. All the details. So right now, 12% into the CDB $roots upgrade. PDB seed and PDB-free come later because the root gets always upgraded first, and then seed and PDB-free get upgraded in parallel, and we'll see this later. And at the end, hopefully, successfully completed, all fine, we are good to go. You see also the last line here, there's a restore point. By default, AutoUpgrade creates a guaranteed restore point, and you have to clean it up, or you tell AutoUpgrade to clean it up. And I think Daniel later has some section here. It tells you also, it does also recompilation, time zone upgrade, post-upgrade fix-ups, and so much more. So the tool all automates this for you, making upgrades really a simple and smooth exercise now. And then we have a demo for that. So let me quickly show you an upgrade. First of all, let me show you the config file. Shortest possible version, source home, target home, and the SID of my database is DB12. Then I kick off AutoUpgrade, newest version from Moz, with this config file I showed you a second ago, and -mode analyze. Now it examines my database. LSJ, and you have to type this during the analyze very quickly because the analyze usually completes very fast. It does the pre-checks, and here it is completed. So we didn't even speed this up here. You see it's job 100, and it asks me to check the summary reports. So let's check the status log. And here you see it's 12.2 to 19.12 in this case. And as I showed you before, pre-check passed, no manual intervention needed. Now we can run the upgrade with -mode deploy. It's now job 101. So it increased the job number by 1. Prefix ups will be done again. Or analyze had been done again. Prefix ups haven't been done before. Now we speed up a bit because you don't want to watch an upgrade here. Let's do LSJ again. We are in the upgrade. Upgrade is running. And a bit more information, status minus job 101. Now you see we are 5 minutes into the upgrade. You see what the previous stages had taken, also the drain when we drained the load, then the log files, and 10% in the upgrade here at this point. Let's wait a bit. Oh, it's completed. Very good. This was a very fast upgrade this Saturday morning. Let's connect now for a final check to the database and see, select full version from Vidola instance 1912. Database has been upgraded, all went fine. That was smooth.
Oh, that looks so easy, Mike, but I really don't like those text files. It's so old school. I want something more fancy. And with AutoUpgrade, that is possible. You can start AutoUpgrade with just one line. You don't have to create the config file. Some of the options that you can put in the config file, you can also specify them on the command line, like the SID and the Oracle homes. So you can simply just run a much simpler command line. If you have a lot of things that you want to specify, you can still do it as a one-liner. It might be comfortable in some situations if you're using an external scheduler or whatever. You can simply put everything that you put into the config file. You can also put that on the command line using the config values option. So you have a lot more flexibility with regards to the config file.
And Daniel,
but there are more goodies.
Daniel, before you go on, one thing for everybody in the presentation, we will take your questions. So please write them in the chat or Q&A, and we will read them and answer them afterwards, if you don't mind.
Yes. Mike mentioned the prefix UPG1 a little earlier. We have that in the config file because you can specify multiple databases in the same config file. You separate them by using a prefix. You can upgrade as many databases as you have compute power. AutoUpgrade can handle everything. You're only limited by the hardware. So you can put in 5, 10, hundreds of databases. You can even put in databases from multiple hosts, and there is a config file entry that you can use to specify that this database has to be operated on this host, this on that host. So you can operate one or many databases. You would use the upgrade node parameter to say that this database can only operate on this host, this database on that host. So you can have one central config file that you can use for your entire database estate. If you have something in your P file or your SP file that you want to change in the new version, you can add or remove or modify parameters before, during, and after the upgrade. For instance, you might want to remove something like optimizer features enable when you do the upgrade. We have some recommendations for you to set in the database after upgrade, like the cursor obsolete threshold, use single log writer, and so forth. You can put that in a file, and then AutoUpgrade will add those to your SP file after the upgrade. You can do it on a global level by specifying the global prefix, then it will apply to all the upgrades in your config file, or you can do it specifically only for one database. So if you have some general parameters that you set in your database, you can set it in the global add after section of the config file, and then AutoUpgrade will add that to every database that you upgrade with AutoUpgrade. Then when you do the database upgrade, the database upgrade is only part of the upgrade, you could say. There are certain things that you need to do together with the database upgrade. Potentially need to interact with the application that uses the database. You might need to do things before the upgrade, like postponing the backups, archive backups, or other backups of your database. You might want to put an enterprise manager blackout or anything. The upgrade, there are some things that you possibly would like to do. You can use shell scripts for that purpose. In AutoUpgrade, there is a parameter called before action. You can specify a shell script, and before AutoUpgrade will start on that database, it'll run that shell script. And again, you can do it for one database with a global, with a local parameter, UPG1 here, or you can do it for all the databases. Similar to that, you can also run things after the upgrade. It could be that you want to start a level 0 or level 1 backup immediately after the upgrade, or do some changes to the configuration in Enterprise Manager, or what have you not. So everything that you can put in a shell script, you can run with AutoUpgrade. If you are on Windows, you don't have shell scripts, but you can do BAT, CMD, or PowerShell scripts. By default, AutoUpgrade doesn't care about your shell script. It'll execute it, wait for it to complete, and then proceed with the database upgrade. But if you want the shell script to return something to AutoUpgrade, you can decide whether or not AutoUpgrade should hold on a non-zero return code. So if your sorry about my McAfee wants to update. So you can decide whether or not AutoUpgrade should hold if there is an error in your shell script. If, for instance, the level 1 backup before the upgrade has an error and you don't want to continue, then AutoUpgrade can hold on error. Restoration. By default, AutoUpgrade will create a guaranteed restore point in your database before anything is touched in your database. So this allows you, if something goes wrong in the upgrade or after the upgrade, you can then flash back to that restore point and the database will be left completely untouched. So flashback database is the coolest way that you can roll back or revert a database upgrade if something goes wrong. By default, AutoUpgrade will create the restore point, but it will not drop it afterwards. It is up to you to drop the guaranteed restore point. And you should definitely remember that before you go live in the database. But if you want the guaranteed restore point to be dropped immediately after upgrade, there is an option for that as well. So let's see what you else can do with restore points. I have here a demo. My database is currently running 12.2. I have my AutoUpgrade config file. It's very simple, source and target Oracle Home, the SID, and I've specified drop GRP after upgrade equals no. It is the default value, so I didn't have to specify it. It's only here to make the demo more clear. Then I start our upgrade using deploy mode. And it's a super fast upgrade. We're also speeding up here a little, and it finishes in, let's say, 10 seconds. Job 100 completed. The database has now been upgraded. And AutoUpgrade tells me, remember to drop the GRP. Let's reset the environment and verify that the database has actually been upgraded to 1910. Okay. Now my testers tells me there's something wrong with the database. We cannot use this. We have found a very critical error. So you need to restore, you need to flashback. Use the restore option, specify the job ID, and AutoUpgrade will do everything for you. It'll shut down the database, flash it back, restart it in the old environment, do all the registration in etc OraTab, clusterware, copy SP files, network files, encryption wallets, what have you not. Everything is taken care of by AutoUpgrade. Reset the environment afterwards, verify from $v instance that we are now back in 12.2. So you can upgrade with one command, but if there's something wrong, you can also restore with one command. So that is really one additional very cool benefit of using AutoUpgrade. Of course, you could do it manually yourself, but there are many steps involved. AutoUpgrade makes it a lot easier for you. So underscores, Mike.
Yeah, we told you before, we don't master you, but if you have the intention that you would like to have a clean solution, and believe it or not, I had customers who said, hey, I don't want to discuss whether we remove old underscores. We just would like to wipe them out everywhere. Then you can set remove underscore parameters, yes, and then it will remove, AutoUpgrade will remove underscores and events from your SP files. Here only for UPG1, but as Daniel explained before, you can make this also a global thing for all your databases if you'd like to. Oops. Let's see. Okay. Then you could also postpone the recompilation. By default, AutoUpgrade recompiles, but it could be that you want a different algorithm, or last week we gave a seminar where we explained all the different options with recompilation. So you may want to postpone it in some rare cases. Run utlrp no will postpone the recompilation and then leaves it up to you. You may also, in some cases, skip the time zone adjustment. Most likely, the new Oracle Home has a higher time zone version than the source. So this will be the case here for 12.2.1 to 19c if we use the defaults. And if you don't deal with any sort of time zone data, you may want to skip that also when you plan to downgrade later on. While Daniel showed you the flashback now to the guaranteed restore point, which only protects you against issues during an upgrade, it could be that you would like to have the possibility to go back 5 days after you went live already. And you were very cautious, so you let compatible on the source level in your target upgrade database. But then when you upgraded time zone as well, this will block your downgrade attempts to the point when you apply the matching time zone patch to your old home as well, because time zone can't be downgraded. So this could be a reason to skip the time zone adjustment and maybe do it later. But keep in mind, when you do the time zone adjustment later, it will restart your database because it needs for the dictionary changes to be in upgrade mode for a short period. And then something I really like so much is, even though AutoUpgrade is fantastic, but sometimes I have that feeling I want to tweak some things. And there we added this option to really low-level tweak parameters. Underneath the covers, AutoUpgrade is still using the parallel upgrade we introduced with 12.1. And this is cutctlpl. So all upgrade ways use the same cutctlpl driver underneath the covers, but you can pass on parameters to this low level, like 64 parallel workers, 8 workers per PDB here with -N8, or if you would use -T for the traditional upgrade, so no new upgrade technologies, then you could pass them on via cutctlpl options, which is quite nice. Now a quick, how should I say, a quick comparison, what parallel upgrade means and what it does. So 16 CPUs on a bare metal host with 768 gig of memory, CDB with 52 PDBs, and we have CPU count 32. 80 gig SGA, PGA aggregate target 20 gig. So it's a cloud database. We are so happy. We test a lot. Actually, Daniel does all the testing in our cloud environments with TDE and standbys and everything. Many database components, all components there, and we upgrade from 12.102 to 19c, which may not be so unusual out there. So this is the entire runtime for this setup. So 52 PDBs, and we see it's 4 hours, 10 minutes, or 4 hours, 8 minutes, actually, it says it on the slide. So this is when the parallel upgrade unfolds its power, because 32 was the CPU count, 16 PDBs upgraded in parallel. But Daniel, can we overload this?
Yeah, I mean, that's the graph of the CPU utilization. And I mean, ideally, we want to be at 90% all the time. So everything below the green dotted line, that's just waste, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yes. So, yeah, we tried it.
Let's see. In the first one, in the first one, we had 32 parallel processors. So CPU count, remember, was 32. And we use 32 parallel processors. And here, I mean, everything above the red line, that's just waste. So can you actually overload the upgrade still with the same system, 32 CPU count? What if we up or change the parallel processors using the minus lowercase n option to 54? How much time can we save? Well, when you add more parallel to a database upgrade, it doesn't scale linear. That is why we can kind of overload the upgrade and use more parallel processors than we actually have a CPU count. And in this specific case, you could see from the lower graph that we could get a much better CPU utilization. And in overall, it saved us 26 minutes on the upgrade. So again, if you have a very powerful system, and if you're very sensitive to downtime, you can try to experiment with overloading the upgrade by using more parallel processors than you have CPU count. But then you need to monitor it, right, Mike?
Yes, and this is my favorite thing, because I mean, typing LSJ all over the place is fine, but I don't want that. And the auto role of LSJ is not there. It will come someday. But I love, you just open your browser, whatever your browser is, and you pass on this state HTML auto upgrade rights to your browser, and it updates itself. So you don't even have to press the reload. You can safely lean back, take your hands away from the keyboard, and just watch your upgrades running, even if you have like 50 upgrades running on that server. Or in Daniel's example, now we have 52 PDBs. You see the overview here, that screen updated by itself. It's super cool, and I like this feature really a lot. And then we added some case-by-case examples, and I think we have to speed up a little bit when I check the clock here. And first of all is a typical example. When you get new hardware, you often do this in line with an upgrade. Now we have the new Exadata X9M, and we want to upgrade over to it. So we go to a new server, and AutoUpgrade can do that. So on the source system, AutoUpgrade char is there, your config file is there. You run analyze first, but then you run also fixups. You shut it down, you bring your database over to the new server, and then you start it in upgrade mode and you run it with minus mode upgrade. So this is what you do. On the source server, left side, you have your config file 3 lines here, and you may not have a target home there, which is 19C, and you don't need a target home. But AutoUpgrade expects always source and target home to be present, otherwise it won't pass the config file. So we give it anyway a home, which does not exist on my server. Then I run mode analyze, mode fixups, shut my database down, or I created already a standby to the new server. Everything will be synced over. If not, then I shut it down, copy everything now to the new server. On the new server, I did some prep steps. Either I updated etc ORATOP, or I did my SRV-CTL configuration already, prepared my network admin files, TDE wallet, copied over everything there. Now I bring my database in startup upgrade mode, and I run it with the config file now on the right side. And you see here I made it more obvious. There is no source home on my new machine. Maybe it's already Linux 8, and I couldn't even run a 12.102 database on it, or 12.201, whatever. So I don't need a source home, only target home, minus mode upgrade, upgrades my database straight through. And then you are, yes.
Yes. Unplug-Plug upgrades. We have showed a little upgrades today with container databases where you upgrade the entire database, including all the PDBs. It's easy, but the downside is that you need, it takes a long time to upgrade the entire CDB, including all the PDBs. You can do Unplug-Plug upgrades where you take one individual PDB, plug it into a higher release CDB, and then upgrade only that specific PDB. The problem is that you are reusing the data files. You don't have that good fallback mechanisms, and it might take some time if you want to copy the data files. But with AutoUpgrade, we want to make that even easier. So one of the features that is coming very soon in AutoUpgrade is that you can upgrade via a refreshable clone PDB. Sounds very fancy. What is it? I'll guide you through. On the source database, we are creating a common user, and we grant a few privileges to that common user, a few powerful privileges. create pluggable database privilege, and select any catalog. On the target container database, where you want to plug that PDB in, you create a database link that points back to the PDB that you want to upgrade. And you use the common user in the source database that we just created. So now we have a database link pointing to the PDB that we want to upgrade, but we are in the target CDB, in the higher release CDB. You create a config file that can do the Unplug-Plug upgrade. You use the PDBs command to specify which PDB that you want to upgrade. And then the last line, source DB link dot PDB1, that is and then the name of the database link, clone PDB1, and then 600. 600 means 600 seconds, and that is the refresh rate that we will use. And I'll explain that a little while. What happens then is that AutoUpgrade will start by creating a clone or a copy of that PDB in the new higher release container database. It'll create it as a refreshable clone PDB. It's still running in the lower release, but in the higher release CDB, you cannot open it. Redo is coming from the source container into the target container and is applied on the PDB. So we are keeping the PDB in sync with all the changes on the source PDB. And this is where the refresh rates comes in. 600 seconds, that's every 10th minute. AutoUpgrade will then refresh, take all the redo, and keep the target PDB in sync. And it'll do that until you are ready to start the upgrade. So now you can do an Unplug-Plug upgrade. You can copy the PDB without having any downtime. And as soon as you're ready to start the upgrade, AutoUpgrade will cut the connection. It'll open the PDB, upgrade it, and you can then use it. So it's a very convenient way of doing Unplug-Plug upgrades where you can clone the PDB to a new system. And AutoUpgrade uses common functionality in the container database. It uses the create pluggable database statement, which automatically puts a parallel degree so you can kind of quickly copy the PDB into the target CDB. Very quickly, something about GI, upgrade and patching. Can you take that, Mike?
Yes, of course. Let's rush now to the end. AutoUpgrade doesn't upgrade your grid infrastructure. This is a question we get from time to time, but this is a separate process done by the installer and grid setup, which upgrades your GI. So AutoUpgrade will never cover that and never be able to cover that. AutoUpgrade takes care on the database upgrade with everything surrounding the database upgrades, like Daniel said, SRV, CTL configuration, wallets, data guard to some extent. So that's covered by AutoUpgrade, and maybe soon also the patching part. We are working on that, but GI itself, separate story. And what if something really goes wrong? Finally, a tip here, because we believe the tool is great and we get a lot of good feedback from customers, but in case something goes wrong, then please do this. AutoUpgrade minus your config file minus zip. And this brings all the log files together because the tool is really created to log everything. It's not a black box. It gives you all the information and us all the information we need and also support. Upload this zip file. It includes your alert log as well. And please add opatch ls inventory to just prevent some ping pong questions. Where's your inventory? I want to see that. Upload this to Moz. And then we are good to go. And with that information, we always can find out if something went wrong, what had been gone wrong. And just here, finally, a quote from a customer we worked with for, I think, almost 10 years now. He changed the company, but until Alain Fourer worked as the head of IT databases for Mobiliar Insurance, the oldest Switzerland's insurer. He confirmed and said, hey, on one weekend, we upgraded 735 databases. This is PDBs to 19C, and it was a relaxed task. We started AutoUpgrade, and we just monitored the progress, and there was no reason to sit in front of the screen the entire weekend. So they had 6 to 7 hours upgrade duration for container databases with 150 PDBs in there on an Exadata system with just 10 Oracle OCPUs in it. Reserved for the upgrade process. So pretty cool, and we have a lot of customers. So finally, let me guide you to our blogs, mikedietrich.de.com, Daniel's blog, dohdatabase.com, and Rodrigo's blog. recorded seminars on Daniel's blog. You find them on both of them. And don't forget our YouTube channel. When you go on my blog to the video section or in Daniel's to the webinar section, there's the YouTube link. And we publish almost every day a new YouTube video, I think so. And AutoUpgrade Deep Dive, next session will be at the Latvian User Group Conference. And I think, Daniel, we have to read now the questions and try to answer them. Will you start?
Yes, I will. Can we use this script for a normal DB? Yes, you can. AutoUpgrade can upgrade any database. Doesn't matter if it's a single instance, standard edition, enterprise edition, with data guard, with rack, anything can be handled by AutoUpgrades.
Yeah, I take then the one from the chat. There's one technical question in the chat. What to do for multiple instances in the same Oracle home? Absolutely no problem. You decide with the prefix which of the instances you'd like to upgrade. And you can also mix database versions. So in the config file, you can upgrade a 12.2 database to 19C. And on the same server, you can upgrade a 12.1 database to 21C if you want to. This is not supported. You would need a 18C database to 21C then. But you can mix wildly what you want, even different homes. So AutoUpgrade can do that. If you want separation, you can start multiple instances of AutoUpgrade at the same time. Even that works. You don't need to, but some people prefer it. But you have to separate the log directories then, because one instance will use that log tree, the other instance will use the other log tree. Now, Daniel, over to you for the next one.
Yes, difference between mode upgrade and mode deploy. Deploy mode does analyze, fix-ups, and upgrade, whereas upgrade only does the upgrade. When you use AutoUpgrade in upgrade mode, you have to start the database in upgrade mode yourself, and there is a few things that is not handled, like changing etc aura tabs and so forth.
Okay.
If I have some DB links on source, DB relies on TNS names. Is there an automated way of copying those files? Yes, AutoUpgrade takes care of your network files as well. If you have a TNS names aura in your source home, it'll be put into the target database home. If there already is a TNS names.aura, those files will be merged together. So that you shouldn't worry about either. Any link or document MOS for upgrading rack environment using AutoUpgrade? No, there is no MOS document because you don't need it. AutoUpgrade automatically detects that this is a rack database. It'll take care of everything for you, shutting down all the other instances, starting with cluster database equals false and the SRV CTL options and so forth. Nothing special with rack, just upgrade. Let's see as well.
Shall I take the next one?
Yes.
There are actually two which came in very early regarding OJVM. So is OJVM first by stand installable from Sikandar? And hi, Emad, good to hear from you. You know already that in 21C, OJVM will be part of the database RU and won't be a separate install anymore. So these two questions go in line. OJVM is not standby first installable and won't be. But in 21C, as Emad said already, it's part of the standard RU. And then with 21C, OJVM is standby first installable. Unfortunately, as far as I'm aware, this is not going back ported to 19C. So it will be a 21C and onwards feature.
Okay, will AutoUpgrade convert a standalone, a non-CDB to a CDB directly? What you can do is that you can create a container database. You can take your non-CDB and plug that into that container database. AutoUpgrade can do that for you. It can also do Unplug-Plug upgrades, as I showed you earlier. Visit one of our previous webinars. We have one about multi-tenant conversion, and we show you there how you can do it with AutoUpgrade. It is just as simple as doing an upgrade. You only need to specify one more thing in the config file and create the CDB yourself.
Okay, then I take the Windows question, the first one. When you have a 12.1 version CDB database on Windows and you would like to perform an upgrade to 19C, then actually you could use what we showed you with Unplug-Plug upgrade. because the database version and also the PDB version between Windows and Linux is equivalent. So there's no difference. You could shut down your database and start it up on Linux. The only thing you must prepare is the control file, because in a control file you have the paths with the backslashes and you need to recreate a control file. So the simplest way would be shut down your control file, move it over, start up upgrade with a new control file and then upgrade it. Or you just unplug your PDB, and this makes it even more easier, and would plug it into 19C on the Linux platform and then call AutoUpgrade to upgrade it. That would be by far the most simple way.
Okay. And then the last one, how can we upgrade GI first and later databases using AutoUpgrade in a 4-node rack having 7 standby databases with far sync setup? First, GI, you have to take care of that yourself. We recommend that you do it the weekend before the upgrade to kind of take that out of scope. So you take care of GI. AutoUpgrade and rack, nothing special. AutoUpgrade detects everything for you and does everything for you. 7 standby databases. AutoUpgrade is aware when a database is part of a data guard setup. What you need to do is take care of the standby databases. AutoUpgrade will handle everything on the primary database, but you need to take care of the standby databases. So you need to start them in the new Oracle Home, change clusterware registration, etc, ORATAP, and so forth, and then restart them when you are ready to go. Yeah. And
will you or should I?
Hi, Mike and Daniel.
Yes.
I like the conversation between both of you. Like my server is not connected to internet, etc. It's nice conversation. Interesting. Thank you for both of you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Our pleasure. And thanks for hosting us.
There's another last question, and if you would like to answer.
Oh, the last question. Okay. What if we have multiple databases in different platforms, Windows and Linux? Is it possible to upgrade them? Yes. Windows and Linux, since I think to remember 11.107 are from the structure, from everything compatible to each other. It's both little endian platforms, and you can even build a standby, since I think 11.107 between Windows and Linux in both directions. So this is the easiest way, build up a standby and then upgrade it. And as I said before, the only real barrier to have to jump over is the control file, because your control file from the Windows box won't be useful on the Linux system. Different paths, different layout, and backslash and slash. So this must be recreated. But that works then even easier with pluggable databases, as I explained before. Okay, so we would like to thank all of you for watching, for tuning in, for answering all these great questions. And the final question coming here from Big to Little Endian, their AutoUpgrade is no help because you have to migrate. This is either the easier way data pump, or if the database is bigger, transportable table spaces. Unfortunately, AutoUpgrade can't handle that. Thanks, everybody. And we hope to see you and be invited again next year. Inshallah.
And sorry for running out of time. We're really sorry, but upgrades are so funny.
Yes.
Thank you.